What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So CBS did a poll in July, and 59% of voters feel that our economy is getting worse. And so we're going to break this down. I'm going to show you a clip. We'll take a look at the poll. We'll talk a little bit about it. And what does this mean for voters? What are voters going to vote for Democrats? Are Democrats going to be able to take back the House and the Senate as a result of numbers that look like this? 59%. I mean, to me, that's crazy to even imagine that we're in a situation where our economy is so bad that the vast majority of people that were polled in this poll say, look, we need change. And I think one of the things that's really upsetting voters is they were promised things. They were promised that things were going to get better, that the economy was going to get better, that the cost of food was going to go down, gas prices were going to go down, all of these promises. But now we're in a situation where those things haven't happened. And so now 59% of the people polled here are saying, no, this is not working. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. So let's go ahead and take a look. Here we go.
If he does tout the economy, how do voters feel about his performance on that subject?
Yeah, promises made, promises broken in the minds of the American public. Because just take a look here. The reason he won back in 2024 was because the plurality of voters thought that Trump would make them financially better off, 44%. 38% said they make them worse off back in October of 2024. Look at these numbers now.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. John's shaking his head off.
Look at 13, better off. 13% now. 13%. It was 44% in October of 2024. This is a huge problem for Republicans because you have the president out there saying, look, I'm going to do all of these things to make make your life better. And now you see the American people, and these aren't all Democrats here. We're talking about Democrats, independents, and Republicans, and they're all saying the same thing. We're not better off. As a matter of fact, we're worse off.
On the side. Now, 58%, nearly 3 in 5 voters say that Trump is making them financially worse off. That's up like a rocket. The better off down through the floor in Lake Michigan. Look at that, from 44% to just 13% now saying better off. The rest say about the same. These are absolutely devastating numbers. The issue that got Trump reelected, now the voters absolutely turn against him.
They're saying he is making them worse off.
Correct.
Just think about what this poll is actually saying there. And what do voters say about whether the economy is getting better or worse?
Yeah, I think this is part of the picture, right? Say the U.S. economy is getting worse. Look at this. Okay, back when Trump was reelected, November of 2024, look at that. 42% of Americans, less than 50, said that, in fact, the economy was getting worse. Look at that now. Again, very similar numbers.
And understand this. This is during the Biden administration, November 2024, 42%. That's a large number. But in July, now it's at 59%. That's wow. Now understand, and when they're talking about these different polls here, this is just one poll, I believe. Yeah, CBS News poll. That's what they're using here. So we're not looking at an aggregate. We're not looking at the average of the polls. It's just one poll they're showing us here.
Very similar numbers. 59% say the U.S. economy is getting worse. That getting better number is down close to 20%. I don't know how this works for Republicans come the midterm elections when the economy is the number one issue with inflation and 3 in 5 say it's getting worse off and just about 1 in 5 saying that it's getting better. That's an equation that does not work out to success.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a situation where if people go out and vote, then there's no way that Republicans will be able to win the House, and they could potentially lose the Senate just based on the information that we're getting from these polls. Now, obviously, these polls have to be correct, and that's why it's better when we have an average of the polls, because at least we can see different polls so we can have a better idea of what's going on. But just looking at one poll, if we were to look at the CBS News poll, it's showing us that Republicans they have a huge problem, and it's the economy. And people have been talking about this for forever now, as far as the economy affordability. But these numbers just show us how the voters in this poll feel.
Tell you, if he's going to go to Michigan today and say the economy's doing great, 60% about say it's not. And so that is a message that sometimes does not land well at all with voters. How does he rank historically?
Yeah, just look at this. I mean, according to the CBS poll, worst economic net approvals at this point in term 2. Who takes the cake? Donald John Trump, 30 points underwater, even worse than George W. Bush heading into those midterms back in 2006. We've spoken about it before. That comparison, simply put, does not work for Republicans.
Of course, the president has been calling for a cut in interest rates. He's got a new chair of the Federal Reserve. What are the prediction markets saying about whether that will happen?
No, it won't, most likely. Chance Fed cuts interest rates in July. We have a meeting later this week, less than 1% chance. How about this year? 19% chance, according to Kalshi prediction markets. The bottom line is the American people think the economy is getting worse. And what Trump wants to do, in fact, prediction market, those who are putting their money where their mouths are, don't think it's going to happen.
And that last part about cutting interest rates, they can't cut interest rates right now. And the reason why you can't cut interest rates right now is because if you cut interest rates, that is going to stimulate, yes, it will stimulate the economy, but prices are going to go up even higher. And so you don't want prices to go up even higher than what they are now. That is why the Federal Reserve is not going to cut interest rates, because they know that if they cut interest rates, it's inflationary. We're going to see even higher prices. And no one wants to see even higher prices. And so cutting interest rates is just not going to happen. So I want to make a quick pitch here. If you guys are liking the content on my channel, make sure you go over and join my Substack. It's free. And on my Substack, you're going to get articles that are based on some of the videos that I've posted, as well as every video that I post on YouTube, I also post it on Substack, and Substack will send you an email notification so you'll never miss any of my videos. Link is in the description. And here's an interesting exchange on CNN. You have this gentleman talking about corporate interests, and then he gets pushback from some of the other guests where they're saying, look, this is about the people. This is about people struggling right now, and you're talking about corporate interests. There's a difference, because corporations could look at our economy right now and say things are booming, but the average Joe is struggling. The average Joe is paying higher gas prices, higher food prices. So let's take a look. Here we go.
I kind of respectfully disagree with some of the fundamental premises there, Abby. I mean, the economy is actually doing quite well. We're in the middle of another earnings season where earnings are beating on average expectations. That makes the 9th earnings quarter over quarter in a row of earnings that have beat expectations on average.
You're talking
I'm talking about corporations. I'm talking about corporations. But that's an indication of how the economy is doing.
That's going to fill up a gallon of gas that's over $4 from where it was in May does not.
And the corollary to that on the consumer side is that inflation has outpaced earnings for the last 2 months. Now, Trump on the inflation side got a little bit of a signal of, okay, you're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. The ceasefire brought down inflation, but now there's no ceasefire anymore. So I think we can probably expect that number to start to rise again. So that's what I'm talking about, Mark. Look, I think the economy has been incredibly resilient, but it is in spite of, not because of Trump's policies that frankly have added to costs for Americans.
What the president's been trying to do, Abby, as it relates to tariffs and other policies, are to level the playing field. It's long-term gain for some short-term inflationary pressure, and I think for everyone.
Wait, what do you mean leveling the playing field? Who is paying the tariffs?
Yeah.
The playing field needs to be level.
The tariffs get shifted to the consumer, which are Americans who buy goods from countries that are being taxed, like Canada or Mexico.
The last 3
tell me how that makes sense.
The last 3 quarters of corporate earnings have not demonstrated that.
Earnings, which is very different from a family living in, let's say, Michigan, who is going to a gas pump.
What corporations are saying about their prices and rates.
But what's interesting is he's talking about what corporations are saying. Just because they're saying, well, you know what, we're not raising prices, doesn't mean that they're not raising prices, because we get the CPI every month, and it's showing us that prices are going up. So even if corporations are saying that they're not doing that, I mean, it's still happening. Somebody's doing it. We're paying more.
And they are seeing higher gas prices, higher diesel prices, and then they go to the grocery store. So on top of the higher gas prices, then they get the gift of driving to the grocery store to see grocery prices higher, because guess what diesel does? It takes the goods coming off of those trucks and gets to the grocery store. Yeah. So yes, those supermarkets or the corporations might be getting a higher earning paycheck here, but the average family
that's
is
actually not. That's not the message that I'm trying to transmit here. So in breaking down corporate earnings reports since Liberation Day, corporations have reported by and large that they are not raising prices and passing the costs.
That's not true. They absolutely are. Grocery prices are higher.
I spend most of my days pouring.
I would say, look, first of all, I do think that some corporations, the larger ones, are able to absorb some of the costs, but some of the costs are still being passed on.
And so here's another situation where you're focused on corporations. Look, we have a midterm election coming up, and voters are the ones that are going to decide this midterm election. And if voters aren't happy, no matter, I mean, if corporations are doing well in this economy, that's fine. But if voters aren't happy, and if voters are struggling, and they've been saying that they're struggling, anytime you look at any poll that talks about affordability, the numbers are always high because people are just not happy with what's going on right now. But now I want to pass it off to you. What do you guys think about these numbers? If we were to look at this poll and believe the information is true, what do you think about this? What are the voters going to do in November? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.